Each week, nearly a dozen movies are released theatrically. 40 films a month, more than 400 a year. That's a plethora of cinema. Too much cinema. You'd have to be an addict to see all that, but don't fret. We've got you covered. This is CinemAddicts.
Welcome to CinemAddicts, episode 182, So We Think. I am Anderson. I blather about films here and there. That's Greg Strzavosty. He's a top Critics' Choice Award Manny guy. There's Eric Holmes. He's an editor and a lover of all things Gremlins. And there's Bruce Purkey, who knows how to break down a film like pretty much no one else that I know. He's very, very good at it. And we're going to be, he breaks them down. Greg, he's a butcher of films.
That was my description. That's
He's a butcher. He breaks them down like Gordon Ramsay breaks down a hen. Like he gets that film, he plucks it and he breaks it into quarters and they'll let you know what's up with it. I love it.
That's my description. Bruce is the one who's a sellout who gives everything 4 stars. Anderson, do you know what's the Bruce? You want to chime in on that?
This week I will break that record. I will not be all 4 stars this week. We'll see.
We're confusing episodes and co-hosts apparently at this point. There's a big discussion. We had a good 10-minute discussion trying to figure out if it was 181 or 182 before the show began. You guys missed all that because I don't think we were recording, but hey, here we are. We're going to be talking about the 3rd week of March 2022. What's worthy of your attention? These guys, I'm assuming, if it's like any other week, have seen way too many films. Bruce, I can't believe your wife allows this. Mine does not. I have a strict 4 film limit that I'm allowed to crank out each week. It looks like you're beating me with that by quite a margin. But I want to also just let you know that I have been listening. Greg already knows this because I buttered his butt earlier. I was going to say balls, but we're a clean show.
Clean show, family show.
CinemAddicts has become my go-to favorite podcast, which sounds weird because I am somewhat, involved in it still. But the episodes that I'm not involved in, I listen to with glee. And I learn so much every single week from what you guys bring to the table. So I really appreciate that. And thank you very much for doing such good work and helping the listeners, including me, find these movies.
Thank you, Anderson, for you're the creator of the show. And no matter what happens, you're always going to be part of the program. You're a co-founder, unlike Eric Holmes, who you do nothing for us. Eric Holmes, what do you think about that? I wanted to latch it. Eric, you have anything to say?
No, I agree. 100%. Nailed it.
How do you need to disagree because what you're just Anderson and I we have Mel Brooks fatigue from our recent Patreon. We're talking about Mel Brooks and Tony Curtis, but what have you been doing, Eric Holmes?
I just got done with the interview with Quentin Dupieux, director of Rubber, and he's got a new movie coming out called Smoking Causes Coughing. And I believe we'll be covering that next week, along with releasing the interview. Turned out pretty good, I think.
Was he nice? Nice guy?
Oh yeah. It's weird because like his movies are so kind of
strange
and arty. So you figure he'd be kind of up his own ass, but he's not. He's pretty laid back dude.
He's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah, definitely.
You see Deerskin?
No, I haven't. Last
so
3
much
of
fun.
his I saw was it Mandibles?
Rubber.
I can't remember the one after that. And then Smoking Causes
Incredible
Coughing.
but true.
Yeah, there you go.
I first learned of Quentin Dupieux from Anderson Cowan. Anderson, you've always been a fan of his stuff, right? Am I wrong with this? Or
yeah, I mean, I was first obviously drawn to his Rubber because it's a movie about a disembodied tire that just kind of rolls across the desert. And not only was that fascinating to me, but also the fact that he shot it all on a Canon 5D at the time, which was unheard of. It was a DSLR, very accessible camera to the public. It didn't cost a whole lot, and he shot an entire feature narrative on that. So I was excited to see what he did. I also watched his Wrong, as well as non-film. He's out there. He's definitely surrealistic's not even the right word. I guess it's just he's alt. He's definitely alternative.
he's very funny. Really, I think we've all loved his film. So really,
Deerskin is, I think, my favorite of his.
Okay, yeah.
It's about a man who's just obsessed with a deerskin jacket and will stop at nothing to get it back. And there's murder and mayhem, and a child does not do so well. It's very, very funny. Very funny.
The next one he's got coming out, I don't know if it's going to be later this year or early next year, but it's about Salvador Dali, which I think is right up his alley. So
maybe surrealistic is appropriate. Some of his stuff's surrealistic for sure, and some of it not so much. But the opening of Rubber is something to behold, though. Do you recall the opening of Rubber with the cars and the stunts and the guy that gets out of the car and comes up and addresses the camera, breaks the fourth wall.
The only thing I remember about Rubber is the tire goes up, starts shaking, and people's heads explode. And then at the end, it kind of, well, not to spoil it, but I don't know how you can spoil it.
The opening, though,
at the end, it kind of
great.
Becomes almost a making of Rubber, sort of. It like kind of steps back and you see kind of the making of.
It didn't quite hold its own for the full 90 minutes or whatever it was. There was definitely some fat there that could have been trimmed, but it was experimental filmmaking at the very least. But the opening sequence, I think, was one of the problems because it was so good, and you expect this wild ride, and then there's just a lot of the it's almost like Jerry at times with just wandering through the desert. It's like, all right, where are we going, guys?
Anderson, I should have mentioned this for our Patreon, by the way. On Patreon, Anderson and I, we covered The Producers and The Boston Strangler. The Boston Strangler is with Tony Curtis. The Producers is produced and directed by Mel Brooks, starring Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel. Bruce Purkey, Zero Mostel, Gene Wilder, The Producers. Iconic film for you?
I think it used to be more iconic for me, but I think the last time I saw it, I liked it, but I didn't love it the way I did when I was like 30 years ago.
I know what you're doing, Greg. I know what you're doing. When's the Greg?
What am I doing? What am I doing?
Greg's trying to get you guys to gang up. He's trying to get you guys to gang up against me because I just went on a tangent on the Patreon as to why Mel Brooks is not my comedic friend.
I mean, I can see that. He's such a style of comedy, you either like it or you don't. And I'm kind of half and half on him too. I think that the goofiness overpowers the goodness a lot of the times. And I probably like the opening 20 minutes of that movie a lot, but the rest of it's like, it's okay.
I'm the opposite.
I know he only produced it, but I thought Elephant Man was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Guy's head was so misshapen. Oh my god! Every time I'm down in the dumps, I have a picture in my garage of the Elephant Man. I just go out and it just cheers me up. I just stare at him and laugh.
That's something else, Anderson. Family show. That was very, very fun. By the way, Elephant Man. First time we covered that, I think about a year and a half ago on Patreon. That is our latest Patreon episode. The Producers and The Boston Strangler. Next up, Anderson. We're covering, what year are we covering for Patreon?
1975.
We're covering 1975 for the following month on Patreon. Are you a Tony Curtis fan, Eric Holmes?
Yes.
Yes? Some like it hot. Come on, give me some more. What else? The Defiant ones.
Greg.
What was the one? The Sweet Smell of Success?
Excellent. I love Sweet Smell of Success. We love that. Yeah, Tony Curtis.
I wanted to say Secret of My Success, but that was the Michael J. Fox
one. Very, very good.
Different movie.
Yeah, but yeah, if you want to see a really great underrated Tony Curtis performance, check out The Boston Strangler. Then check out our work on Patreon. Speaking of checking out, Anderson,
it's a great Robert Fleischer performance as a director. Really,
yes. I can't. Your red hoodie, it's scaring me, Anderson. Do you know why?
It's very cold in my garage, Greg.
Oh, really, Bruce? I think Bruce knows why the red hoodie is scaring me. Why is the red hoodie scaring me, Bruce?
Well, you've seen Don't Look Now. I'm sure that's part of it. But just think of him as like Elliot. He's Elliot instead or something.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. That is a pull. Speaking of pulls, Anderson, Don't Look Now, directed by Nicholas Roeg. Red Hoodie. If you ever see, I've never seen that movie.
Oh, I was thinking Don't Look Up. Don't you guys brought it up?
No.
That's why I was saying I
Don't Look Up.
Don't Look Now.
Speaking of looking up, last month, Anderson, catch up with us. What are some of the movies that you are passionate about that we should check out?
Oh, I mean, you got to drop the passionate about. If I'm talking about new movies, because Champions and Shazam are the only two new movies that I've seen recently, and I can't scream at anyone to go see either one of those. However, Champions, I'm very excited that it got released and then it's out there and that somebody else is doing what I'm trying to do with my next project, which is actually get some mentally challenged actors playing mentally challenged characters, which you haven't really seen a whole lot of up to this point. And that whole basketball team that Bob Farley put together for Champions was very, very entertaining, and they were all very strong actors and very funny. So I liked Champions for that reason. Other than that, it was very formulaic and more of a rom-com than anything else. And actually, he even, I didn't realize this until it just occurred to me a couple of days ago. He's completely stole the formula from the Mighty Ducks, because Gordon Bombay, as you might remember, got court ordered to be the coach of the Mighty Ducks for drunk driving infraction. And the same exact thing happens with Woody Harrelson's character in Champions. He actually drunkenly plows into the back of a cop car and then gets community service, which has him coaching a Special Olympics basketball team. But I'm not passionate about that. And then Shazam, we can all miss that. except for the third act, is really fun and a lot of goodness, but it takes a while to get there, and it's just a very middling movie up until that point.
And it's doing really bad at the box office. You can understand why, Anderson.
I mean, I don't know if there's a whole lot of clamoring for the next Shazam. It's been since 2019, I guess. Seems even longer ago than that. And yeah, maybe we're finally seeing some superhero fatigue. There's a lot of capes in this movie, a whole lot of capes. And I was sitting there in the theater going, what am I doing with my life? Why am I doing this? Why am I watching this movie? I feel like there's better things that I could be doing for the shows and with my life. So until the third act, I mean, there's some really cool creatures in the third act. Really cool.
I do want to bring up something you brought up on Film Vault this week, though. You're working on a documentary. You were talking a little bit about that.
Oh, which one? Because
can't
La
remember
Lucha?
the name.
La Lucha?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, La Lucha is screening at various festivals. It's doing really well. It's a movie I produced. I'm actually producing a podcast for it now, which I should get off this show and go back to that because I'm missing my deadlines. But yeah, La Lucha is a very, for lack of a better term, it's like an important documentary about the state of our education system and school opportunities and alt learning. And I worked on that for the last 3 years with Rand Courtney, who is the director and producer. And it's doing really, really well at the festivals, as you might imagine, because it's a well-made movie about an important subject matter. It's an interesting story how it came about. Rand, just real quick, and then we'll move on. But Rand was tasked with making a short little industrial video for a particular company that's in education, and he was following around a couple of their students, and he was pretty much done with his little 15-20 minute mini documentary when he got a phone call that one of those two students was murdered. And I think I was one of the very first calls that he made when he learned that. And he said, hey, this is a tragedy that just happened. And it's no longer a 15-20 minute little thing anymore. It's a whole different story now. And I want you to produce it with me. And we have been ever since. And that was October 2019. And we ended up putting together a full feature, shooting tons and tons of more stuff. Mike and I shot a whole bunch more stuff, a whole bunch more interviews and source stuff. And yeah, it tells a really compelling, tragic, important story, I think. So it's called La Lucha.
Wow,
that's not available anywhere yet. It's just out on the festival circuit, but he's got a sales rep and it should be distributed, I would imagine, by the end of the year.
That's amazing. Congrats, Anderson. So you're going to be doing more documentaries down the road as well as La Lucha? What's got?
Yeah. I've been working on my own, getting my own up and running. I've been doing pre-production on that for better part of 2 years now, and time flies, man. Especially when you're old, huh, guys? But yeah, I'm gonna start the fundraising for that documentary as early as next week, I think. So you'll be hearing about that as well. And I'm hooked up with a 501c3, so anyone who does contribute to this project will be able to use it as a tax write-off. So that's exciting.
And guys, just want to say, Anderson was saying that if you can, when he's promoting his feature and his documentary, if you can come on the show to talk about it. And I go, Anderson, since you're pretty much the heart of CinemAddicts and the creator.
Okay, I'm getting uncomfortable.
The answer is no.
It's been
is that okay? Okay. You're not allowed.
You all say no. Well, I have the access code, so I can just
shut it down.
Plant. Yeah.
Good point. Yes. Good job, Anderson. Any other movies before we get to our features? Anything else you want to talk about before we get to the boring movies that we're covering this week? Oh my gosh, Anderson. You can actually
I want to a couple movies from last year that I want to chastise you guys about, or at least Bruce about one, and all of you about the other. Is first, Bones and All. How have you guys not covered Bones and All? Which this is a very CinemAddicts, very Bruce and Eric movie.
The title hits too close to home because Bones and All, it sounds like a birthday party that me and Bruce would attend. We're so old, both of us. So it's very not good.
I thought you were going with the homophobic.
It's too close to home, Anderson. I hear the movie's middling. I hear the movie's not so good. That's also another. Yeah. So
actually, it's not too good for me. Vampire movie, or did I hear
cannibal movie?
Oh, yeah, it's more of a cannibal
vampire
movie.
Cannibal love story.
Yeah. I think that you guys would probably dig it, and it gets really dark by the end. It's from the guy that directed Big Splash and Call Me by Your Luca. I mean, Call Me by Your Name. And yeah, he's a particular type of director. I don't know what the point of this movie is, but I could see you guys really loving it. And there's some really good stuff. Timothy Chalamet is just, He's a treasure. As much as I don't think I could ever hang out with that guy, and I would absolutely hate him as a human being. He is a great actor. He chews the scenery, as Greg says. We see you drinking, Greg. Don't do it away from the microphone. We all see it.
Mark Rylance, one of your favorite actors, right? Anderson, you got from
Rylance was not doing it for me in this movie, but by the end, I can't stop thinking about his performance. It's one of the creepier performances I've seen in a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bones and all. Underrated film then, at least.
I think so. Yeah, for the type of people that would. So he did. It's the guy that redid Suspiria, which you guys like as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got similar vibes. And finally, can we just talk Babylon for a second here?
Yes,
Well,
please.
here we go.
So I heard your misgivings about Babylon, and Eric, thanks for being the smart conversationalist in that conversation.
Here comes the reverse of what happened earlier.
Along with Babylon and Don't Look Up, I'm very ahead of the curve on these things.
What is this? Don't Look Up. Can you educate me?
It's about a meteor that crashes the Earth, and we totally deserve it. It's pretty good.
I thought it was one of the underrated films last year. I was right. Got nominated for Best Picture. I was championing Don't Look Up.
Nope,
I think
you're thinking of Armageddon. Okay, Babylon. So I heard your reasons for not liking it. And you kind of leaned into the lack of character arcs and characters as themselves. And I'll give you this, like the lead character lacked all and any pizzazz and the it factor. He just didn't have it for me anyways. And he was the straw that stirred the drink, and I think that character could have been more dynamic for sure. But I do think there were a few arcs. There were definitely the archetypes that you suggested, but I think that's okay for a movie like this, because I think that Babylon, what it was shooting for was to illustrate a period of time or Hollywood as a whole by the time the thing was over. And that was the real character. And there's an absolute arc within that illustration, which was where Hollywood began, what it went through with the onset of sound, and kind of up to where it is today. And that was the main character arc. If you hear that douchey thing where it's like the New York, the backdrop of New York,
character in this movie.
Yeah. Hollywood was the character. Hollywood was the main character, and there's an absolutely large overreaching arc. Not even overreaching, but an arc there.
Maybe in the first hour. I would give you that in the first hour. Like, I would say the most interesting part of the whole movie is the film shoot, like extended sequence. That's like about, I don't know, 30 minutes of the first hour, maybe 45 minutes of it. That
where they're all shooting right next to each other.
Yeah, they're shooting next to each other, and the extras are dying, and they're like letting them die, and all this craziness is happening. And this
is all based on reality. These are all based on actual factual things that happen in Hollywood. They condense them all, and they make composite characters, obviously, to get. But
that was about it, though. That was about it. Like that. Was the rest of the story was like, so Singing in the Rain, Boogie Nights with a little bit of Irreversible thrown in, and that's this movie. But yeah, no, the other hour was trash. Hour 2 was trash. Hour 3 was really trash.
And like the Tobey Maguire sex dungeon, that's cool.
The sex dungeon thing, that was like a total. Well, I mean, that was another movie, but it had no bearing on this movie, other than the show. Like, it starts to show like now all of the decadence has gone underground. Babylon. But
yeah.
Oh, I wish you appreciated the movie like me and Eric and Anderson.
Oh, you didn't see it? Greg, you saw it?
No, I didn't. But I'm just trying to be.
What in the world, Greg? You don't have to see it, because I can give you a rating. I can give you a rating for it right now.
Well, can you give me the rating for Babylon?
4 stars.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be 4 stars.
4 stars. So Babylon, by the way, before we get to features, what is I know you're not a big fan of ratings, Anderson. What would you give Babylon as far as a rating goes?
4.5 stars.
4.5 stars. Okay, very cool.
The scene where they're actually using sound, it was all the same characters that we recognize from earlier scenes in the movie, where they're working, having the time of their lives doing these silent pictures, and then they have to contend with sound. Hit such a chord with me and was so spot on. And I've been on sets where that kind of thing is happening today. It hasn't changed that much, but to watch these guys have to deal with it for the first time it was maybe my favorite scene, next to the pool scene in Weird from last year. I just loved those two scenes so much. Wow.
Okay, so Babylon, that's a movie to watch. Apologies, Bruce Purkey, for not defending you amidst this Babylon.
But Bruce, you're not alone. You're not alone. A lot of people.
And I think it's the tone thing, right? I mean, if you're into the tone of that movie, because it's a very loud, very brash, very kind of broadly comedic in a lot of ways. And for me, kind of like you talked about with Mel Brooks, right? If I was just not feeling the vibe of it at all, and 3 hours of that vibe was like
No, I totally get it.
torture.
If you're not
So-
feeling it. It was the first time I saw the trailer for Cocaine Bear, and I was like, okay, well, that was a really good laugh, and I was really entertained. I was dreading Babylon, and I'm like, now here we go, 3 hours of just Damien Chazelle being serious and trying to get a message across, probably at some point or another. And I couldn't believe that. Like, I was laughing throughout. There are scenes that didn't really do much for me, like the snake scene. I don't think that had to be in there. I'm not really sure what the point of, but maybe I'd appreciate it more when I see it a second time if I ever have a chance to.
Even
And
Giselle's pretty good though. Like even when La La Land came out, I was like, but then I went and saw it with my sister, and I thought La La Land was pretty great.
Yeah, for what it is really, even though a lot of people just say that he's straight up stole from the umbrellas of Shoreberg or whatever, right? But which I still haven't seen.
Oh, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love that.
But
I don't know.
the score,
Torture.
the score as well, Bruce. I mean, I heard you say you didn't like the score. I
I did
absolutely
not.
love the score.
I
So
hated the score.
I think if you love the score, you're gonna that'll go a long way for a movie
But
like this.
I
as
am
well.
in the minority, I think, on that too. People love the score. Even people I've heard say they didn't like the movie so much love the score. So
I wake up to it every morning.
Yeah, it just didn't hit me.
It's my
It didn't
alarm.
hit me at all. I think my new score is going to be, well, from something we're going to talk about this week, but we'll get there.
Yeah. I know you love the score from Supercell, Bruce Purkey. We're gonna cover a movie
So
this
love
week
it.
called, from IFC Films. By the way, you should see Supercell Anderson. We covered it last week on our show on our CinemAddicts program. I'm kidding about Supercell. Actually, me and Eric liked it. Bruce not so much. A movie that Bruce and I did see though is a movie, Anderson and Eric. You guys might find some value in this. It's directed by Stephen Frears. It's co-written by Steve Coogan from those My Trip to Italy things, those The Trip movies. The movie's called The Lost King, and it's a factual story based on amateur historian Philippa Langley, and Philippa Langley is played by Sally Hawkins. It's a true story of how Philippa Langley was spearheaded the search for the remains of King Richard III. That is the premise, true story on The Lost King. If you're a fan of Sally Hawkins, if you're a fan of Coogan plays the estranged husband of Philippa in the film, and it's a very engaging, fun movie. My only complaint is we live in an age where everything is on digital and on demand. I would kind of prefer The Lost King if it was available on Friday on digital and on demand. Unfortunately, it's only going to be in theaters March 24th. I am recommending this movie for a digital and on demand streaming kind of situation. I think that's a horrible thing to say, but I like the movie. I don't know, Bruce, is The Lost King worth the money to be spent in theaters, or am I just being really bad when it comes to recommending this movie? Because people should go in theaters in general, so.
No, I think I'm right with you. I think this is a great digital on-demand movie. This is like, okay, a mom or dad movie. This is an easy sell because it's kind of light, but it has enough interest to keep going. I think there's some things that work really well. We didn't kind of mention, but the whole idea of, Richard III, right? He's from Shakespeare especially, kind of derided as the twisted, murderous king, all this stuff. And there's this whole society apparently that thinks he was wronged, and they wanted to prove that he really wasn't that. He was really a great leader and so on and so forth. And his body's never been found. Like, they don't know. Supposedly it was thrown off a bridge and lost. Some people say it's buried, and she kind of goes on this, what do you call it? One person mission to try to find his body. And, I mean, that alone makes it a pretty, a fun, lightweight, kind of a mystery / not really whodunit exactly, but right, like more of a adventure to investigate and to find it, and to work with all the powers that be to try to get them to actually listen to her as a person who's not just some crackpot. I guess that's kind of the overall thrust of the movie. There is this kind of.
Sorry to interrupt. Is it kind of suggesting that we need to listen to women more often? They're usually thrust aside and their opinions don't matter type message?
I mean, you could play it that way, but I don't think it more plays as like the people who write the history and have the positions of like power as far as like, academics get all the respect, and whatever they say kind of goes. And if you're just kind of a person that kind of think you're figured out on your own, you're to be discredited, which in this day and age is probably good, because a lot of people think they have theories about things that are total crackpots. But in this case, of course, it proves out that she's actually got something that maybe is real here. And she's, searching all the history and all the maps and all the stuff to try to figure out where in the modern world the ancient church was, where he was buried. One thing I didn't like in this movie, which your mom and dad might love, is this whole thing about this kind of spectral version of Richard III kind of appearing and talking to her from time to time.
They didn't need that.
No, that
They
stuff
did not
didn't
need
work
that.
for me at all.
You know why they didn't need that, Bruce? Because Sally Hawkins
Yes.
has the power of 10 actors or actresses in
Yeah.
a single frame.
Yeah, this lives and dies on the likability of Sally Hawkins, which I like her quite a bit in most
Yeah,
roles.
same
Even
here.
roles I don't, even when the movie doesn't shine, usually she's extremely likable and fun to follow. So I think it's one of those kind of movies. If you like her, if it seems interesting to you, you're probably going to enjoy it quite a bit. It's more vibrant and fun than like The Dig, which I guess you can compare it to that movie. It's not quite as serious and heavy as that movie, whereas this movie is much more light. I think it's a good rental. Yeah.
What is your rating on The Lost King? Again, available in theaters this Friday, March
I
24th.
liked it more than I thought I would. I thought this would be a total slog, so I'll go 3.5. For
Yeah.
me, it's about a 3.5.
I agree with you, Bruce. 3.5 stars from me and Bruce for The Lost King. Again, look, I'm just saying, don't see it in theaters. It's raining right now. I don't want to go out of the house. I think this is definitely worth an on digital or on demand purchase for The Lost King.
That's
you,
a perfect
Eric.
3-star movie, Greg. When you
Yeah.
say you don't want to get off the couch, but it's worth watching, that's 3 stars.
Yeah.
Eric, can we cut off Ed
And-
Anderson's comments? Those are very, very damaging to my reputation, Eric Holmes. Or does should I not cut those comments? What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I think they're quite timely given the temperature of the room.
I'm
and
going to
the,
cut your
world
comments
they're-
too.
they're
I'm
living
cutting
in.
your comments too, Eric Holmes. Thank you for
It's a
that.
tyrant over here.
You know what, Eric? You are one of the worst ones. Can you talk about the worst ones? You worst human beings with Bruce. You and Bruce, Eric. What is the worst ones? What should Anderson and I go on a date together and see the worst ones, which is in limited release March 24th?
Absolutely.
Oh,
This
yeah?
this one kind of plays like it's a documentary. The idea is that this film team comes in this town and they pick some of the local kids to star in this movie that they're making. It plays like a behind the scenes of that. And as the movie goes, you come to find out that you're not watching a documentary, it's a mockumentary, I guess. A lot of the themes in this are about child exploitation and just filmmaking in general. And so I think making you think it's a documentary and then slowly revealing that it's a narrative. I don't know how you would put it. Bruce, help me out here. It kind of makes you the audience like, oh, we're being complacent in this. We're watching this thing. We're watching children being
Oh, what if this was real? Like, what kind of a person am I? Yeah, like
yeah,
that.
are we watching a documentary of kids being exploited? And then even the filmmakers, when I interviewed the directors, I even asked them about this. It's like, how do you make a movie about exploiting children and not fall for that same stuff yourself? And this kind of plays with the meta of that really well.
Well, and I would add to it. So me, I kept thinking of, thought of two things. First, it starts out, just kind of snaps into these interviews where they're basically interviewing / auditioning these street kids, right? They want to find kids for these roles. You don't know at the time. They're just talking to them. It's almost like the beginning of Climax, if you've seen that movie, where you're just talking to these people. You don't know who they are. They seem to be like tough urban street kids of various ages. And then you pop in and you discover they're making this movie. And I kept thinking of, this is almost like if you saw Larry Clark's Kids or one of those kind of movies, but you're watching a movie about the making of one of those movies and kind of dealing with the idea of, you know, how far is too far with some of these scenes, and like, what are they actually trying to get out of these kids? And like, of course they sell themselves as like, we're here for your community. You know, we're here to bring some vitality here and to shine a light on your community and all this kind of stuff. But then they have this weird scene where there's this extended scene where he's trying to get these two actors, quote, actors, to have this sex scene, and how he's selling it to them and how he's talking about his own sex life and how that was, you know, such an impactful moment of his life and he wants to recreate it here, and just little things like that. And it's a lot of different scenes where they play with the morality of it. And it's pretty interesting movie, I think.
It sounds like it's a wolf in wolf's clothing.
Maybe. Maybe.
From what I'm hearing, like, they actually are doing these things, right? Trying to, and just out in the open though, but like, we're trying to shine a light, but we're actually doing what we're shining a light on, which, yeah.
That's the line you're walking when doing something like this. It's like, hey, we're gonna expose this problem, but how do you do that without doing it yourself? Like, how do you make sure that you're not
exposure, right?
How do you make sure that you're not falling under the same traps that your characters are falling under?
Sounds interesting. Is it uncomfortable?
It can be at times, and it's funny and charming at other times. A lot of it is the main characters. I don't have their names in front of me, but the main kid.
Lily's the main woman, the main
Yeah.
girl, she's probably like, I don't know, 15 or 16. I think that's the one really, as far as watching somebody, that actress is Mallory Wanacue, I think. This is a French movie, if we didn't mention that.
Who's the boy? Because I think Anderson would really take the hint.
Yeah, I didn't get his name. He was Ryan, I think, was he Ryan or was he?
Oh, this feels like an Anderson movie because you really like foreign films that have a very indie spirit feel to them. I think.
But this is rough around the edges, though. I think he might be interested in this. And the kid, you're right, Eric. We should talk about that kid. There's a younger kid supposed to be like her little brother in the movie, but he's not in reality. And if that makes sense. And he's probably, what would you say? He's about 10 or 11, maybe.
Yeah, and also he's like early on, he's the one that you're worried about them exploiting and them kind of messing up. And it turns out he's just along for the ride the whole time. Like he doesn't give a crap about anything, and he's just having a fun time with it. And it's the sister that's kind of falling more into the exploitation unwittingly. But yeah,
the worst ones. Does it explore like poverty porn as well? How that's exploited? Does it go down that?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay,
It's kind of built into it, and they get called on that a little bit by some of the locals. Although it isn't like the main thrust of the movie, but that definitely is part of it for sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
because I think like some of the people in there, it was like, and that's why it's called the worst ones. It's, oh, why'd you get him in the movie? He's a little troublemaker. Why are you using them to show off our
represent?
Town? Yeah, represent our town.
Okay, so the worst ones is out in theaters, actually in one theater on March 24th, and it will have a nationwide rollout in the coming weeks. You can go to the Kino Lorber site for release details on the worst ones. We will put it on our CinemAddicts show notes. Ratings for the worst ones. Bruce Purkey, you go first.
I'm going to actually go 4.5. I think this is a really good movie. And I would say, I don't know what's going on in France right now, but there's something about housing projects creating great movies lately in France. I don't know what it is. Well, there's Athena, there's this, and there was
Paris 13th District. Oh, I'm sorry.
Paris 13th District and Gagarine. We've had like 4 in the last year and a half. So
Anderson would love Gagarine. You would love that movie. You don't have time to watch Anderson with the 4 limits, but I would tell you. Do you agree with me, Bruce? On Gagarine, Anderson?
I think he would at least like it. He might love it. Yeah, it's.
You guys covered this last week?
We covered
it was like
a
a year ago.
This is Gagarine.
Oh,
I think
on
is an Anderson.
Find Your Film, probably.
Yeah. Eric Holmes, and you know Anderson very well. Gagarine, is that an Anderson Cowan film? What do you think?
I always think so, and then it turns out he hates it. Or I'm like, oh, Anderson will hate this. He's like, what are you talking about? I love that one. So I abstain.
How dare Anderson Cowan not cry during Petite Maman? All right, and Eric Holmes, what I'm calling you out. You know what? I cried through. I'm crying even thinking about that movie. But your rating on the worst ones, Eric Holmes.
I'm gonna go with 4.5, but considering I think I saw this like a month and a half or 2 months ago, and it's still sticking with me. So like this could probably be a 5-star, but I'll go 4.5 for now.
It's not
Give it with room to grow.
Okay, room to grow from Eric Holmes. Again, Eric is giving it 4.5. Bruce giving it 4.5. I think both of them are going to give 5 stars to an upcoming movie. We're going to review it in about 2 shakes. It's called The Tutor. Anderson, you're going to be excited to hear this little mini review of The Tutor. But I know, Anderson, you're a documentary enthusiast. There's a movie called Refuge, which hits VOD and digital on March 24th. The simple premise is it centers on this military vet named Chris Buckley. He was also a former leader of the KKK, and it's about how he's trying his best to erase his racism. And one of the methods he uses, or he actually employs throughout this documentary, is to actually befriend a Kurdish refugee. His name's Dr. Heval Kelly, and Refuge centers on the friendship and the meeting of Dr. Heval Kelly and this military vet and former KKK member, Chris Buckley. That is a premise of Refuge. It is from Katie Couric Media on VOD and digital on March 24th. Again, Anderson, one of these days, once you're making your millions from movies, you need to write Refuge. You
not
need
the
to
aim, Greg.
It's not the millions of dollars. That's my aim. What?
I'm not making movies that will ever make millions of dollars. I don't see. Refuge needs a PR team. There's not even a poster for Refuge, Greg.
I know, right?
And there's only been 6 ratings on IMDb. I mean, I think you are the only person in the country talking about Refuge.
I'm giving that movie 4 stars. So I know
That's a given.
4 stars. Eric Combs, I'm actually being serious. I'm giving Refuge 4 stars, and I'm also going to give the worst ones 4 stars, even though I haven't seen it. Eric, you can put me down for that. The final review for this week, I was joking about that, but I know I wasn't about the worst ones. Final movie review we're gonna cover, Anderson. There's a movie, More Than Gagarin, that Anderson Cowan will love. It's a movie starring Garrett Hedlund. We love Garrett Hedlund. There's Victoria Justice. Garrett Hedlund is he's the aforementioned The Tutor.
What do you want from me?
I gave you a chance.
I got an email this morning, summer gig. They're offering you $2,500 a day. Details are sparse, but it's definitely VIP.
You must be Sir Jackson.
You must be Ethan.
Let's try a practice test. We'll see how you do.
So, we are having a boy.
I love you.
I love you too.
What's your dad do?
I'm not allowed to say.
What about your mom? How's work? I don't know, the kid's giving me sort of a strange vibe.
They're just kids, Ethan. They can't help if they come from money, even if they're a little bit messed up.
What about the baby? Is it planned?
How do you know about the baby? He's obsessed with me in a total stalker sort of way.
Jackson, hi, I'm Annie. Ethan's told me a lot about you.
You must be a really special person.
This needs to stop right now. You've been accused of assaulting Jackson.
He's scared of you. There are some pretty substantial bruises on his leg.
Jackson gave himself those bruises. I need this job. I have a baby on the way.
I'm gonna have to let you go. How was your evening, Ethan?
Lost everything, thanks to you. Will you stay away from my family, or I'll hurt you?
And The Tutor, he gets a great job, cush job, to tutor this young kid, this teenager, played by Stranger Things. It's Noah Schnapp or whatever his name is, Noah something. And this Noah kid, he has a rich family, and he's there. The tutor, played by Garrett Hedlund, his job is to tutor this kid for about a week at this really rich area. Unfortunately, the kid is not what he seems to be, and it becomes this sort of the hand that rocks the cradle, stalker, thriller, trope movie. Do you like these kind of movies, Anderson? Like The Tutor, suspense? No, what?
No.
Fatal Attraction with the cooking the rabbit and the thing like that. Brian De Palma movie split screens. We talked about the boss. Okay,
I love movies that lack any kind of levity or like fun characters or that have some pizzazz. Don't interest me, Greg.
Okay, well,
Sorry, buddy.
The Tutor is potentially a 6.9 star banger for me. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Let's start with Eric Holmes. Am I joking about The Tutor, or do you love The Tutor? Eric Holmes, what do you think?
Well, let's see. Googling frustrating adjective, causing annoyance or upset because of an inability to change or achieve something. Oh God, I did not like this movie. This was it was
Greg
well
is
shot.
like technically he's literally dumbfounded right now and crestfallen.
Yeah, classic Eric.
It was well shot. It was a decent thriller, but the main character is just it was just one bad decision after another bad decision. And I'm guessing that when you find out what's going on, it all kind of makes sense.
Yes.
But I think the biggest problem in this movie is that it's setting itself up for like the ending. And it should just give you all the information and then watch how the characters play out. So sometimes you want to save something, you want a cool ending. Other times, if you're doing a character piece, which this seemed like it was trying to be, you need to give the audience perfect information. And we know what's going on. So when we see the characters act in a certain way, it makes sense. As it is now, having not seen the ending first and then going back and watching the movie, I'm just watching the main character going, what the hell is wrong with you, dude? Like every time you open your mouth, you say the wrong thing. Every time you do something, it's the wrong thing. and I was just pulling my hair out the entire time, and I could not wait for this movie to end. And then when it does get to the ending, I was like, that was it. All right, well, cool, I guess.
How dare you, Eric Holmes? Bruce Purkey. I maybe I really related to Ethan's character played by Garrett Hedlund. Do you agree with Eric Holmes that he didn't like this movie whatsoever? And come on, Bruce, save the day. Save this podcast. Give it 5 stars.
Pretty preposterous. Yeah. And it has it has some well, here, I'll just put this. I don't think, I mean, there are twists, but no one really cares. This movie's so dumb. But there's a moment in this movie where a character is unconscious for a reason and wakes up in a lake, submerged, wakes up in a lake. And I'm just like, what? No, this movie
it's suspenseful thriller. What do you...
How do you have someone unconscious in a lake and they can wake up and be alive and just in time to see a boat running away from them? And that's just one of the
strawberries are dangerous. Remember that?
Not very much. No.
Oh God, the strawberries.
Anderson, okay. Love this. Yes. Okay. Yes, Eric.
The strawberry scene was terrible.
Don't spoil it, Eric.
Are we gonna do a spoiler on this?
No, we're not. No, we got.
I have so many issues with the strawberries.
I wish Alfred Hitchcock made movies like The Tutor. How about that?
See, the only thing this could have been saved if it had gone full on. So if it had gone full on, like fully into camp, like if it knew what it was and it really went for it and was just actually having great fun with these tropes and just, cranking them up to 10, I think maybe it could possibly work, or just gone into absolute absurdity. Like, what is it? Grass is Greener, whatever that show was. What was that movie? Greener. Oh, I can't remember.
Grass?
Yeah. Where that's like playing with the tropes so hard and becomes just almost absurd, insane idea of suburbia.
You're talking about Greener Grass with the bracelet? With the
yes.
Almost absurd. I mean, it's completely...
Yeah, that's what I mean. Everything is cranked to 1,000 in that.
Yeah.
The tropes, the weirdness, everything. So you can't even take it on a serious level at all, whereas this one's trying to kind of split the difference. Actually, I don't even think it's trying to split the difference. I think it's trying to be a serious, twisty thriller. This thing.
That's what it looks like in the trailer, and everything about it with the marketing looks like Greener Grass is just all
crazy.
Yeah, a comedy. There's a scene early in the movie where a woman, there's 2 women, and one has a kid, the other one doesn't.
Yes.
And she really, really wanted a kid, but she doesn't have one. So she asks her friend, "Hey, could I have your kid?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." Takes it. And so now it's her kid, right? And then later in the movie, she has regrets the one that gave up the kid. So she's like, "It can't hurt to ask. Oh no, like, may I have my kid back?" And she's like, "No, you can't." She's like, "Oh, sorry, couldn't hurt to ask." And she's like, yes, it did hurt a lot for asking for your kid back. It hurt me quite a bit." And she's just crying. I mean, that's the kind of movie it is. It's so fun.
What is it called?
Could be fun, but it's not.
Greener Grass.
Greener Grass. Yeah.
Oh, highly recommend Greener Grass.
Okay, Greener Grass, and whatever Bruce was saying about it should have headed into camp. Bruce, you were absolutely right. The Tutor is a movie that I wanted to love with all my heart.
Oh, you were joking, Greg. You got me.
The movie director. No, I didn't get you. The director Jordan Ross. He did a movie several years ago I think it's called Thumper, which I enjoyed. I don't know if Jordan Ross grew up on Brian De Palma, Alfred Hitchcock movies, suspense. I'm not saying he's a bad director. I just feel like Bruce said he was trying to make a real drama with a Tutor, where this movie should have gone really crazy and offbeat and awesome. And I was ready for that ride. Ultimately, I love the twist, unlike Eric did. I loved a lot of these crazy things about the movie. I just wish it got crazier and was not as serious as it intended itself to be. The Tutor, for me, I still recommend this movie. I'm giving it 3 stars, which I know Anderson's gonna say, which means 0 stars. That's why I enjoyed it. My mom, right, Anderson, 1 star. 3 stars for the Tutor for me. Here's the thing. It's only in theaters on Friday. Why is this only this should be an on digital and on-demand release? I enjoyed parts of it, but again, they should have gone full crazy. Director Jordan Ross should have gone full crazy with this movie. Eric Holmes, I don't even want to ask your rating, because this is going to be a very bad rating from you. What is it, Eric?
Well, first of all, I kind of want to push back on the direction's bad in this. I think maybe more the writing, unless the screenplay was brilliant and the director changed a bunch of stuff, which happens. Not having read the script, I couldn't tell you one way or another. But yeah, I don't know. Geez, so many times that characters get caught in a thing, and it's like, why are you doing that? And all they have to do is like show them a text or show them.
I hate that kind of thing. I hate that kind of thing.
Or Or, hey, honey, why are you doing the thing? Oh, I'm about to tell you. I don't want to hear it. And then they turn around and storm off. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, geez, please stop writing those scenes. But this is like the movie all the way through.
Sweet.
I think it looks good. It's got certain kind of thriller elements that weren't bad, but just the whole concept of this entire movie I couldn't get behind. I'd have to go like, if I'm being generous, I'll go 2 stars.
2 stars. Eric is always generous. Okay,
Greg,
so
you really did get me. I thought you absolutely loved this movie.
no, I did love parts of it. 3 stars. So I just wish, I don't know, Bruce, if you agree with me, like if it was like an Adrian Lyne kind of film, even like some kind of Brian De Palma, some kind of suspense director, thriller guy. I don't know. I really wanted to love this movie. I just ended up kind of liking it. Bruce Purkey, what is it? 5 star? What, 5.5, 4.5?
1.5.
1.5 for the Tutor from Bruce Purkey. Before we, that's a lot. That's probably one of Bruce's
the correct star rating, I think.
The correct star rating, Eric Holmes.
I converted from Greg to Fahrenheit. I think
Anderson, for your birthday, I forget when your birthday is, Anderson. When is that coming up? You want me to get you a Blu-ray of the Tutor?
I'm good. I'm good. Speaking of good, a good person also comes out this week with my girl Florence Pugh. She's alongside Morgan Freeman. This is written and directed by Zach Braff, which means I will not be watching it. Molly Shannon is also in that. And then there's a 5.5 hour John Wick that's coming out. I can't tell if it's a full trilogy that's all stitched together to make it this length, or if it's a new chapter. They're calling it chapter 4. But it is 2 hours and 40 minutes or something insane.
No
so
way.
That's another one that I will be missing.
What? You guys aren't covering it next week on TFE?
2 hours 49 minutes. No, I've made a proclamation that I will watch 2 good smaller indie films rather than a 2-in-1. It's like a double feature, 2 hours and 49 minutes. You can get the fuck out of here.
All right.
2 hours and 49 minutes. There's no need for a John Wick movie to be 2 hours and 49 minutes. Is there a reason, guys?
Unless 2 of the hours feature Scott Adkins, then totally.
I know you're excited about that, Scott Adkins.
We love, yeah.
Billy Skarsgård's in here too, so that's cool.
Okay,
but,
so that's the 45 minutes. First 2 hours, Scott Adkins. Last 45 minutes is Bill Skarsgård with a little Keanu sprinkled in there. That's fine, I suppose.
Before we wrap up, Bruce, you have a quick recommendation as far as what people want to see if they're not watching movies. What do you got for us?
I have Swarm, which I gave a try to, and I have not seen Atlanta yet. It is high on my list, but we don't have Hulu right now, so I can't watch it without getting another way. I want to watch that with my wife. I heard Anderson going on about it, and I think it's time to catch up with that. But
Anderson loves Atlanta.
Full disclosure, my wife did not like it. She tapped out with 2 episodes left. She's just like, honey, I've stopped putting this on when I'm in the room. Yeah, there's 2 left. And she's like, I'm like, how do you tap out? She's like, I've watched the last like 8 episodes just begrudgingly because you keep putting it on without even asking me, and I'm in the room. But she did not like it. It was too artsy for her. It was too random for her. But I absolutely loved Atlanta. It's uncompromising is the best adjective for Atlanta. You can tell that no one was giving them notes. No one, and if they were getting notes, they were not listening to those notes because this movie, this show does what it wants.
Well, I'm guessing that this is along the same lines with Swarm. It is, once again, it's a production of Donald Glover and Janine Neighbors. I believe Janine is also part of Atlanta. I think a lot of the people in this are part of Atlanta. I can't personally speak to that because I haven't caught up with it yet. But the good thing about this is, not that your wife will want to watch this, but the good thing about this is it can be a standalone 7-part miniseries. I don't know if they're going to make a season 2, but they don't need to make a season 2 based on what I saw. It doesn't have to continue. And the episodes are like 30-ish minutes per episode.
You know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put it on and not tell her that it's related at all. Wait, is he in this though?
Donald Glover?
Yeah.
He has a very tiny role in it.
Okay.
A very tiny role. He's not the main character even at all. Yeah, she wouldn't even know. You could probably watch this and she might not even notice he was in it. He's a very, very small spot.
No, she'll notice. She just dislikes that Donald Glover. I'm not sure why, but she dislikes him.
It's like a cameo on a TV show that's part of an episode. So so it's not much. Anyway, basic concept of this is you've got Dre, played by Dominique Fishback, which is the heart and soul of this series. If you don't know Dominique, you might have seen her in a few things, but I remember her from Judas and the Black Messiah, and she was the wife of, and I can't remember his name now, but the character that was basically the main focus of that movie, and she was really, really good in that movie as well. She's amazing in this. So basic concept is she and her sister are huge fans of Naija, I got it reversed, Naija, who is essentially a stand-in for Beyonce. And if you know anything about Beyonce, I guess supposedly they have some rabid fans called the Beehive. Kind of don't need to know that, but it's kind of the setting of it. Anyway, in the first episode,
You don't
Dre,
want to piss off the Beehive, by the way.
apparently not.
Yeah.
But this is more akin to something like Taxi Driver or Dexter, or maybe those kind of things where you have super crazy, or Misery, where you have super crazed fans, and essentially she is a hardcore fan. Something happens, a tragedy happens in her life, sets her off, and basically if anyone online or any social media kind of disses Nyjah or her family or anybody else like that, they just might get themselves beaten to death by her.
Is it
Now,
graphic? The show? It's a graphic?
It is, but I think that is kind of that's the hook, right? That's what's getting people in the door. But the real meat and potatoes of this movie is
show.
It feels like a movie. It's like 3.5 hours total, I think, something like that. Is that every episode essentially is her in a different time and place. She's reset her character. People don't know who she is in that setting. It's like, say, one episode is entirely in this strip joint with these other strippers doing this thing. They don't know who she is. She has a different name, and adventures ensue, and eventually death happens. Another one, there's like a cult, like this kind of self-help women's cult. Another one, something else is happening. She has a trajectory, like an ongoing trajectory, but each episode also has a little bit of a standalone quality to it. And her character's a little different in each one because she's setting herself up different in each one. And there is a ton of comedy in this. This is my selling point to you, Anderson. There is some really cool, weird, dark, like you said, artsy, but also just odd comedy mixed in this as well. The stripper one is amazingly hilarious, I think, too. But once again, it gets really, really dark. You have also some real meta, like, guest stars in here, but just kind of thrown in. So you have Paris Jackson as a stripper in one episode. She's just there. But obviously she's somebody who could have crazed fans. You have Billie Eilish in an episode. She has crazed fans, but she just plays a character in here. This is a really, really cool and interesting series I think people might like. It's on Amazon Prime. Go check it out.
We also have Eric Holmes to drag Eric Holmes into this mix. We have Rory Culkin in one episode.
Tight.
Eric, yeah, and we all know
Igby goes down.
Igby, but what Eric Holmes? What is your Rory Culkin masterpiece movie? What is it?
That's Kieran Culkin. Sorry.
No worries.
Igby goes down.
I don't know. I wasn't prepared for Rory Culkin trivia, but
maybe I could be wrong. I was gonna no. It was the other Culkin. Wasn't that My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It to? What is that? Yeah, that was Kieran. Wasn't it? Who was in that? My Heart Can't Beat.
That was Patrick Fugit.
Patrick Fugit. Oh, okay. Oh, my fault.
Not a good day for Greg.
I thought that was not. No, I'm gonna look it up right now. But Swarm, would you give this a 5 out of 5?
It could go there. I think there's some real rewatchability here. Right now, it's 4.5 for me. But I think that this is something you could watch again, or you could watch the episode again and really enjoy it, because there's so much weird comedy and details in there to enjoy. I think this is going to have a real big cult following, if it already isn't. It's pretty buzzy, I think, already. Not to be stupid.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to trick the wife with this. She's going to know. Even if she hasn't read about it, which I'm sure she has, she'll recognize, I'm sure, immediately, because it sounds like it's very similar to Atlanta.
Just get up and watch it where you breakfast and then turn it off. Watch an episode every morning. You'll be fine.
Okay, so
hi guys, I gotta go. Someone just pulled up, I think, and I gotta.
All right, Anderson,
we're about to head out anyway. Thanks, Anderson.
Thank you, Anderson. Hi. See you, buddy.
Yeah, sure, I'll be right there.
Okay,
bye, guys.
Bye,
man.
Love you, buddy. Okay, so
thanks for having me, guys.
No worries. Thanks for having us. The actor I was thinking of, Owen Campbell. Why am I thinking Owen Campbell for some reason?
He was also in Candyland earlier this year.
Oh, that's it, right? Rory Culkin, right? Owen Campbell.
Owen Campbell.
Owen Campbell was in that as well. Owen Campbell, I love Owen Campbell, I guess. So anyway, Swarm, highly recommended from Bruce Purkey. Before we go, anything else we gotta mention? Yes, The Naked Kiss, Samuel Fuller. We push it back a week. We're going to be covering The Naked Kiss, Samuel Fuller. Bruce Purkey will have some gems of criticism on Samuel Fuller. I might have my couple cents on it. Eric, have you seen The Naked Kiss yet? Have you checked it out?
I have. Yeah.
Okay. Spoiler alert. Give a little teaser for next week on your initial Rorschach reactions to The Naked Kiss.
Samuel, without getting fully into it, this one's a little rougher around the edges than his movies are, at least the version I saw. But I mean, Samuel Fuller is pretty good.
Okay.
This is just another one. It's pretty good.
At the
This
very
is what
least.
the Tutor wanted to be.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna
Actually,
say that.
you're not wrong.
Very good. Anything? Okay. Final thoughts from Eric Holmes. Anything you want to say?
Let's see. We got the interviews with the Worst One filmmakers coming out.
Yes, all of your challenging
Zukoka,
questions that you.
Roman
Yeah.
Torre.
Yes, I'm uploading them on the YouTube and the podcast. I'm cutting all of your incisive questions that to them. I'm cutting it out from the interview. They're only
Sweet.
going to see
That'll make
the
it-
vanilla Eric Holmes interview, not the real
Yeah.
reportage. What do you think of that? Are you okay?
That'll make it very boring for everyone to watch and listen to, which is perfect. That's exactly what we're going for.
There's a very good interview.
Ennui and boredom. Here we go.
Ennui. You're getting too French on us, Eric Holmes. What's going on with that?
Oh, sorry. And also, I believe we're covering smoking causes coughing, the Quentin Dupieux joint, and I believe we're covering Tetris next week as well.
Okay.
So not to show in my hand, but we got some bangers next week.
We got some bangers next week on
looking forward to
CinemAddicts. Yeah, definitely. And check out Eric Holmes' interviews on our sister brother show, Find Your Film. You're going to have that uploaded very shortly regarding Quentin Dupieux next week. And this week we will have the filmmakers from the aforementioned, I was going to say the lost ones, the worst ones, this week on Find Your Film podcast. As per usual, final thoughts from Bruce Purkey.
I'm just going to say the box still exists. It has been pushed to next week. So the 20th century, suggested by Kate from Walk the Cinema, is going to be next week instead of this week. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, go look it up.
Okay. Thank you. Love you guys. We'll see you next week here on CinemAddicts.